Hello, beautiful. Welcome back to Mondays with Melissa. And today I thought it might be kind of interesting and juicy to dive into the topic of self love because I think a lot of us operate from a place of viewing self love as bad or negative, and we tend to associate loving ourselves with being arrogant and prideful and conceited. And while I'm sure we do know people that appear that way, they come across that way, I think that there is a way that you can love yourself and still be humble. I think you can still be loving. I think you can be kind. I think you can be gracious. And I don't think you have to be that type of person because you love yourself. And so I want to dive into this topic of self-love and learning to love yourself and some things that you can do today to start to love yourself, because I think there are a lot of people walking and living and moving and being who really don't love themselves. They don't see themselves as made in the image of the Most High. They don't see their value. They don't see their worth. They don't see how awesome and wonderful and powerful we are. And I think a lot of times that is because we have been conditioned to not believe that, or we have these stories that surround us that tell us otherwise. Maybe we hold on to old wounds and past stories of hurt, of offense, and we haven't released those things and really forgiven the people who have said or done that towards us. And so that's really a big first step, I think, in learning to love yourself, is acknowledging that you are worthy of love and that it is okay to love and care for yourself. And it doesn't make you selfish. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It actually helps you to love and care for those around you. And I really believe that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot take care of those around you if you are not caring for yourself. I mean, you absolutely can, but I don't know that you are showing up and giving them the best version of yourself. So you probably remember my story. I used to not care for myself. I lived off of junk food. I didn't exercise because I didn't know that I mattered and that I was worth taking care of. That was my operating foundational belief. But when I was able to walk through my healing process, I was able to forgive some people, I was able to release some things, and I was able to come into that awareness that I did matter, that I was worth taking care of, that I could show up and make an impact in the world, especially with my family and those around me, in a more positive way when I was healthy and whole and coming from a place of a full cup rather than being on empty and giving everybody the leftovers and the scraps. And so I just want to help you reframe the idea that self-love is selfish, because it's not. It's actually quite the opposite, to be honest with you. I think that not caring for yourself is selfish because you're depriving everybody around you, including yourself, the best version of you. You're not showing up as your authentic self. You are coming from a place of hurt and maybe resentment and anger and conditioning that really isn't serving you who you are today. And so I have a guide I'd love to give you. It is tips on self-care, self-love, really learning how to love yourself. But I think it starts with that awareness and that foundational piece of acknowledging that you are worthy of being loved, and it is okay to love and care for yourself. And when I say self-care, let me just add that I don't believe that it is the manicures and the pedicures and the haircut. Like, yes, those things are fine and good, but I think on an everyday, daily habits type of cycle, it's what we put into our bodies. It's how we nourish our bodies. It's if we're hydrating, if we're moving safely. It's what we're feeding our minds. It's what I talk about around healthy habits. It's safe movement. It's getting enough sleep. It's navigating stress. It's eating whole foods. It's staying hydrated. It's a baseline of health. You cannot live out the call on your life if you are sick and tired. I wasn't the mom or the wife that my family needed me to be when I wasn't caring for myself. So if you can reframe that and really realize that self-love and self-care is serving not only yourself, but those around you and allowing you to show up so much more powerfully, that's a game changer. But I think so many of us have this perception that if we care for ourselves, we're selfish, or that we will become conceited, or we'll become arrogant, or we'll become this person that we don't want to be. And I don't think that's the case. I think that loving yourself and caring for yourself is just a natural expression of acknowledging who you are and how you're made, and being kind and generous and gentle with yourself. So I think I'm going to wrap up now. I've kind of given you some food for thought, but as always, if you have questions, if you have comments, if you want to dive into this anymore, please let me know. I'm always happy to discuss things. I'll put a link to schedule a coffee chat if that would be of interest, and I'll put the link to my guide below, because I do believe that when you are healthy and you are whole and you are free and you are showing up and living your purpose, you are powerful and you're able to serve and give to your family instead of take away from that. And this is what I do a lot of times in my coaching, is I help women reframe that, because we've been taught that the opposite. We're stuck in a cycle of sabotage where we put everybody's needs before our own, or we are looking for acceptance. And so we do things that aren't in alignment with who we are or what we desire to be, but we do it because we desire that acceptance. Or we fall into the mentality of, I've been good, I deserve a reward. I talked about this in an earlier episode. So I'm going to wrap, but if you have questions, if you want to hop on a call, I'm here. Always, always happy to do that for anybody. And I'll put the link to that guide below. But as always, just know that you are smart, you are loved, and you're worthy of taking care of. And I'd encourage you this week to do one thing that you can to show yourself some love and compassion. All right, we'll talk to you soon.